What's up, everybody? How's y'all's week been? Let's see who all we got in here. Who all do we have? Brand new Americans in here. I know that. Neil. Neil is first one in the chat. How you doing? Followed up by Joe. How's it hanging, Joe? It is a happy Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Finally made it to the weekend, which it happens to be Mother's Day weekend, right? Everybody getting your mom something? uh Dang Ross, how are you? How's it going? There's brand new. There's BNA. What up? Marco, how you doing, man? So last night during Grumpy's live, our power went out at our house. We had a nasty thunderstorm. Threats of a possible tornado was maybe going to spike up, but we had a couple of down trees that took out some power lines, and some, I believe, a truck of some sort crashed into a power line pole and busted up a pole. So it took about 4.5 hours before we had power again. I was so close to busting out the generator and cranking the generator up because can't have the food go bad, right? It was getting warm in the house too. We were not so comfortable, but I did play Uno with kids and the wife. We did that for about 2 hours out of our downtime that we had. So that was kind of fun. Everybody's saying hey to each other. I see that going on in the chat. My voice is a little bit off because I had to do some yelling over the last couple days um, with a troubled teenager who needed corrected. And I was cheering on my son's t-ball, or not t-ball, he's in the next league up, but his baseball game, which I gotta tell you, we aren't. So listen to this. This is a rec league, okay? And I got little bugs in the house. But this is a recreational league, okay? There's not a tournament. There's no playoffs. There's no big trophies to be won. I mean, it's just for fun. It's just for the kids to have a good time, right? Learn a little bit about the game of baseball and have fun. Work on developing motor skills in playing a fun game. Well, the coaches and the parents, on the other hand, a few of them take everything a lot more seriously, like way too seriously. A couple of them. So that's we had some shit go down the other night. Some crazy shit. so, so the coaches and the umpire, whoa, wait, they really like there was about to be fists thrown. Like that's how close it was. We were like, just one more button pushed on one of them, and there would have been a fist fight out on the baseball field, and that would have been really, really bad for the sake of the kids. You know, it's terrible that you let your emotions get the best of you like that, um and yeah, it just does not set a good precedence. It does not. You are not a good role model at that point for all these young children. So yeah, that was. Mimo, I don't know exactly what the rules are, but typically after about 6 or 7 hours of your fridge or freezer not running, you better go catch it. About about 7 hours is kind of, from my experience, when you need to get off your ass and crank up the generator and get it going, because 9-10 hours you're starting to push your luck. Yeah, you're really starting to push your luck after 9 to 10 hours. I mean, I don't that 12-24. That's risky. That is way too risky, especially when it's warm in the house, warm outside. It's warm weather, warm environment. You, um, those. It's That's a really tricky business, especially if you've got with how much food costs these days. You got most people have at least somewhere between $300 and $700 in their fridge freezer in their house on any given day. Yeah, so don't want to lose half of that because the power went out. Yes, Joe. I do like to. I like to go hammock camping, but yeah. So here, let me give me a second to pull that up. I will show you guys. If you looked at not the Ridgeline video that I did, which was kind of a controversial video, especially if you love knots and are used to doing the standard knots that everybody does. You're setting up a hammock or setting up a tarp for a hammock and all that jazz. But let's see here. I think it's in my video shortcut right here. So the hammock I have actually the camping hammock / tent hammock that I have actually truly is one of the first lay flat style hammocks. I could have sworn I had a recent picture of it up here. I guess I don't. Hold on. Let me see where I might have put it on my external hard drive. But yeah, the hammock tent that I have is a lay flat hammock style hammock tent, and I like it. Overall, just my general from that, I've probably used that thing maybe 7 or 8 times over the last 6-7 years. Yeah, so I'm averaging about once a year. I drag it out and go have some fun with it, and sleep in a hammock tent. I honestly, there's just a couple issues that I have. One being that your hammock tents, when you're up in the air like that, and you gotta get up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning to go take a piss. Um, it's a little easier to do that when you're starting off on the ground when you open your eyes. When you're sleeping in a hammock, you wake up enough because you got to pee that damn bad, and then you have to struggle to get out of a sleeping bag, or if you got a top quilt or whatever, unzip the side of the hammock tent, and then hopefully not flop out and do a face plant onto the ground. Trying to do that when it's damn near pitch black and you just woke up and you're in pain because you got to pee so bad. It's a little bit of a turn off. No, to me it is. That's a little bit of a turn off. YouTube channel videos. Sorry, I'm trying to find that photo because it's a pretty good photo of my hammock tent. I have so much stuff in my organization skills. I like to think I'm fairly organized, but I don't know. Other people would probably say that I'm not at all. uh, yeah, I don't remember where I put that video or that photo. I can pull it up and pause it on the YouTube channel. How about that? We go to my channel and we scroll down to here it is. Let's mute it and get to where I do it. Did I have it at one point where I don't have the under quilt on it? No, I don't think so. Yeah. Let's go to about right there. Right there. So now we'll share that. That way you can see it. So in my video here, does hammock camping suck? I go over my setup and I go over and I hit up, the positives and negatives of it. To me, besides the whole, waking up and having to take a piss shit and not coming off of the ground off of regular tent, I guess, some people are fine with being in the air when that happens. Um, I feel like I've been insanely fortunate that I've not fallen on my ass or face planted onto the ground. But to me, the big deal is there's a lot of parts. There's a lot of parts. Ideally, if you talk to your seasoned, your frequent hammock um, campers that sleep in their hammocks, um, this sleeping bag is not really the way to go. If you can help yourself, get a top quilt, and what I have underneath this one is a bottom quilt that is banana shaped bottom quilt, which is designed for your not lay flat hammocks. The hammock that I have it underneath is truly a lay flat hammock. It's got crossbars on each ends that really spread it out wide into a rectangular shape. So it is designed as a primarily lay flat hammock that also can then be set up on the ground as a regular bivy style compact tent. Um, so yeah, it's just there's a lot of parts because I mean you got your rain fly that covers it, just like a tent has a rain fly, but you have your rain fly that covers it, which you set that up separately. It's basically its own separate thing. Uh, the hammock tent that I have here does have a rain fly over it. That's made for it. It's super compact. I honestly, if with some light rain, light drizzle for an hour and a half, uh, I'm. It's you stay dry in it with that rain fly that's attached to it. Um, if it's a good solid downpour or if there's some wind happening with a storm blowing through, um, I don't trust it to keep me dry. I don't see that keeping you dry very well, and that's why I have a tarp set up over it.
You always have a bag of popcorn as a snack.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why you see the tarp up over it. Also, that gives you a great big dry spot to store all your gear underneath your camping hammock and place to chill out, cook, do whatever. By having a big tarp. But you got to bring that. Then you got to bring the hammock. Then you got to bring the underquilt. Then you got to bring your overquilt or sleeping bag, plus all of your other camping stuff. I mean, there's a lot to it. There's a lot more to that setup. If you've spent more than a decade with just regular tents, ground tents, that's kind of what you know. That's what you're used to. That's what you're comfortable with. You know how it works. I've owned probably at least a dozen different styles of tents that you set up on the ground. I've only had 2 different types of hammock tents, and my experience with them is knowledgeable, but I haven't done a whole hell of a lot, especially not compared to ground tent camping. Uh, I prefer the ground tent over the hammock tent. There's just too many parts and pieces in the setup process and takedown process. Has a handful more steps to it, and it's just kind of I'm just better with the regular hammock. And spam was calling me. All right, so I hope that gives you Joe and anybody else who's into that. Granted, I love taking naps in a hammock. I love just relaxing in a hammock. That is 10 times better than a glorified camping chair. Your most expensive glorified camping chairs. I'd much rather be in a hammock. So I love bringing a hammock on every outing that I pretty much go on. And that's why I have the one. I don't have it in here. It's actually, I think it's in my saddlebag on the motorcycle, but I have that super tiny compact. I'm sure some of you all have seen it before. That super compact hammock and the straps, the tree straps for it that are also insanely compact. And just 2 pieces, 2 tiny little bags. Throw them in the saddlebag, throw them in the backpack. They eat up no space, weigh next to nothing. It's just great. I much prefer having a hammock over a chair. It's nice to be able to set up a hammock. Oh, if you need to get changed too, yeah. As far as the whole changing thing, that's where having the nice big tarp is handy. So like the tarp that I have set up here in this video. Let's see. I don't think I have. But yeah, it's like a 12 by 15 tarp. It's huge compared to what I usually take for a tarp. But yeah, it is a big ass tarp. And I've got it set up with here in this video in this campsite with poles kind of opening it, lifting up the one side of it. But if you and where I'm at this campground, I'm kind of up into the woods a little bit away from the main campground. So I really don't, wasn't anyone around per se to really get a good look at me while I was changing. But the beauty of having a really big tarp like that is I could drop the other side down and really gain pretty much full privacy if I was set up in a busy active campground with a lot of people watching me. But yeah, so that's where having that really big tarp also pays off for that sake as well. Oh, is Bushcraft here? Yay, what's up, Bushcraft? How you doing? You put a hammock up between 2 walls in your house. Really ties the room together. Straight face emoji, wink. Oh, how far back in the Rolodex was that one? Oh, that's so funny. All right, so anybody get any new knives this week? I sure as hell didn't, because I'm hanging on to just about every single penny I can for the sake of Blade Show, and not this weekend, but next weekend. This weekend, tomorrow, Suburban has a fishing tournament, a local fishing tournament. Nothing serious, but just a fun little fishing tournament for kids. So he's got that tomorrow, so that'll be fun. He likes to do the fishing. And then next weekend is the weekend that my daughter and I will be attending the Georgia Renaissance Festival up near Atlanta. It's on the south side of Atlanta, Georgia. So, and so that's next weekend. That's the one where I'm gonna put on the wizard costume. I probably won't be able to wear that thing all day. The beard and the wig thing was really itchy. After about wearing it for 30, 45 minutes, it started to get kind of itchy and warm being outside. So that I don't see myself wearing at least the beard and wig part of it for more than an hour here and maybe an hour there, just a little bit at a time, and just take breaks from it. But yeah, that was fun. If y'all haven't watched my video on the wizard staff, I had some fun. And it was a neat project. It was an interesting project. Bearded Doom really loved it. So, and then, so that's this weekend of the 17th, and then then we'll have the weekend of the 25th, or 24th, 25th, and then we'll have the 31st, and then the 7th is Blade Show. It will be a Blade Show. Yay! So yeah, pretty busy. Of course, that means next Friday's show will be canceled because of the fact that I will be leaving Friday evening to go up to the Renaissance Festival. It's a festival. Yeah, festival. So yeah, I'll be heading out next Friday evening for that. So no live next Friday. And of course, last Friday we did not have a live. I did not have a live because I was at a Luke Combs concert down in Jacksonville, Florida. So yeah, the wife got tickets for that. Lucky. And so we were there last Friday night. So I'm kind of in almost every other weekend, every other Friday for lives, just because I've got stuff going on every other Friday. So if you miss me, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to miss me. I wanted to answer one of y'all's questions. Mimo, do you really have that many hammock jokes up your sleeve? Really? Easily swayed. I get it. If I'm changing, I need a bigger tarp. Yeah, well, I've got one. I don't look too bad when I'm mostly naked. Yeah, pretty much. You're trying to sell knives? I thought about that too. I thought about saving knives. They're selling a couple of knives. It's really hard. It's hard when you've developed a pretty stout collection, and you kind of, the knives that I don't carry hardly at all, and kind of just mostly just sit as part of the collection. The ones that are the least expensive, I'd rather hang on to them as giveaways for you guys, for the channel, rather than sell them for the sake of me having more money for Blade Show. Oh, Zoro, did you get a biscuit? Did Mommy give you a biscuit? Yeah, she give you a biscuit. Mrs. Urban gave the dog a biscuit. Just popped in here and gave him a biscuit. He wasn't expecting that. So what I have been doing is I have been trying to pull in some extra hours and get as many hours as I can at work. I'm pretty much begging for hours, picking up some extra shifts on the weekends, on the days that I'm not busy doing something somewhere. So it's like I'm I either work that like 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, and then the days that I'm not working, I'm just like crammed with activities with the kids and the family and stuff. And then every freaking like this past week with the baseball thing, he had 3 games, 3 nights in a row scheduled. Um, so yeah, it's been very, very busy, very busy. Plus, I've been trying to work on the projects. I'm trying to work on. I got the wizard staff done. I've got um, a shelf thing that's all like 90% done that I just need to wrap up, but it kind of got shoved to the side for the sake of the wizard staff. Excuse me. And then I've got on the motorcycle, I got a new sissy bar backrest for the passenger. I bought a different style, got a different one. So therefore, they're behind it where I mount the box that holds the cowboy hat for me to take to Blade Show. It won't mount on this new sissy bar backrest. So I've got to do something different. So I've got that project that I'm working on that I've got about 25 to 30% of the way into doing. And then I've got this project, which is going to have a cute little video attached to it. I am working on a skateboard, a compact skateboard, for the sake of making that 0.6 miles from my hotel to where the Blade Show Galleria Center is. I want to make that 0.6 miles feel more like 0.2 miles. I just want to be able to get there a little bit quicker and not have to feel like I'm walking so damn far when I'm, it's early in the morning and I've got a full belly from breakfast and three cups of coffee in me and all that. I just wanted to be able to roll up to Blade Show rather than walk up from the hotel. So I'm working on a skateboard, and this it's like 90% of the way done. All I've got left to do is a little bit of sanding and more coats and more sanding to get a nice thick buildup of the clear coat on the board to protect the board and protect this design right here. That's right there in the middle of the board, and these are the where the wheel trucks go, where they bolt on. So on the bottom of the side of the board, that's what the board looks like. How badass is that? That's from my buddy Scott at work, who's got that CNC machine. So yeah, he hooked me up with doing my channel logo right there in the middle of the bottom of the board. So how cool is that? And here's the other side, the top side, which has the skateboard deck tape, and I made it where either side, I got nice large carry handles so I can carry it. It's nice and short, nice and compact, and it's freaking badass with my channel logo. So I'm kind of hoping that I won't have to like padlock this to the public bicycle rack that's outside of the Blade Show Galleria Center. I'm hoping that they won't give me any trouble about carrying this in and having this inside the showroom with me, because the fact that my channel logo's on it really makes it kind of badass and a nice little advertisement piece for my dinky ass little YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this thing came out. and it looks good. Looks good. So I have yet to get the wheels on it yet, and give it its first maiden voyage, but I'm excited for it. Yeah, I'm excited for it. But yeah, I got more clear coats to put on it, so I've only gotten to do 2 coats of the clear stuff around on this side and around the edges. I'll have to brush on this side so I don't get any of the polyacrylic on the skid tape. So I have to brush it on with a brush and layer it on this side. On the bottom side, I can spray, and sand and spray. But yeah, so I'm excited for it. It came out really freaking good. I was stoked. I was grinning from ear to ear when I saw it on his. He does the cabinets at Lowe's here, so he sells cabinets and yeah, does the plans for custom cabinets, which quite a number of people don't realize that you can get custom cabinets done through Lowe's, which is kind of cool. I didn't know a number of years ago that you could do that Lowe's would do that, would build you custom cabinets for your kitchens or whatever. But yeah. So again, oh, I'm not much of a skateboarder, so
Get lots of videos.
Fingers will be crossed. I'll do a little bit of video footage for the sake of the build video for this board. I would do a little bit of video footage of me attempting to skateboard down the driveway or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna have my fingers crossed that getting back and forth from the hotel to the showroom that that I don't bust my ass and hurt myself. That'll be the goal. What up, Bluminati? How you doing today, sir? You have a good week? No, they contract them out, but they actually have a designer platform that they can log into and do all your measurements and do a full 3D model of your cabinets the way you want them in your kitchen. I mean, it's pretty intense. But yeah, no, Dang Ross is right. Lowe's itself actually really doesn't. We don't build nothing. We don't build nothing. We'll do installs for money, and about a third of the time, that's still a third party company that's actually doing the installation part, not actual Lowe's employees. The only thing that Lowe's employees will bother to install is your washers and dryers and dishwashers and refrigerators, which is all about hooking up hoses and plugging in power cords. That's it. No, Lowe's employees don't really assemble either. That's also contracted out. Yeah, we actually, as far as I know, pretty much all Lowe's stores, all the grills, the mowers, and that kind of stuff, that's actually assembled by, again, a third party company, somebody that's hired by Lowe's to come in and put those things together. And I mean, Lowe's or any other retail company that does that, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to find good people with good work ethics to do that, to put together that kind of stuff for retail stores. I mean, it's getting harder and harder. I mean, look at the bicycles between Walmart and Academy Sports and Outdoors. I mean, I just know those two companies. They put together a lot of bicycles get put together and just about almost every single bicycle that I've ever gotten that was assembled from a third party that I bought through Walmart or Academy Sports and Outdoors had something done wrong with it, and I had to fix it. So like it's just at the same time. Have any of y'all put together 20 bicycles in one day? Have any of y'all put together a dozen grills, 3 different types of models together in one freaking in less than 6 hours? I mean, it's not fun. It's not fun to do that, and it gets, the repetition of it it starts to really suck. Um, if I mean, and that's why assemblers get paid definitely more than 15, at least 18, if not 20 or 20, up to $25 an hour for assembling that kind of stuff. So you get the idea, Pretty Fly. You get the idea. You when you have to sit there and in one day or half a day put together a whole bunch of the exact same item, you're bound to goof at one point. Miss tightening a screw here, or this part gets flip flopped and in the way it's mounted or whatever. I mean, you're bound to mess up one piece at one point in time. Yeah, that's the word, monotonous. It's very monotonous. Yeah, agreed. Walmart, they suck. But yeah. So what did y'all carry today or this week? What's your favorite new knife that you've been rolling with? I busted out the Relative again. I had not touched this thing in a while. It has actually been on the back burner in the drawer.
If you don't touch a knife for at least 3 months, you should sell it.
No, that's not how it works.
Or at least 6 months.
Not how a collection works, honey.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I was EMP EDC'd out today with both the Relative and the Pulse. That was today's carry. Both stellar knives. Neil had his PM2, also an excellent knife, a knife that I have and also have not. Has been a while since I've. Yeah, it's been a while since I've carried the PM2. But I have it, and I put my my card scales, or maybe those are G10 scales. No, I have my card scales on mine. How do you like that Roboto too? Pretty Fly. In the blade length, like kind of right at 3 inches, or just a hair under 3 inches. I've been mostly about over 3 inches. Wanting something a little larger. Really, Brasher beer. Good to see you, by the way. But 110 in S45V Burlap Micarta that you got this week. Yes. The Buck 110s have very, very stiff pivots, but extremely solid lockups for back locks. They definitely lead the pack with insanely tight back locks. Okay. Oh, Bluminati had the Clydesdale. And the frac. The frac. I carried that the other day. The CGRB frac. Where is he? He's in the bottom drawer right here. Yeah. One hell of a good knife from CJRB. This is a winner. Winner chicken dinner all damn day. Such a good knife. Big knife. The Asher Spiro with the warning blade, S90V, and that silver twill carbon fiber that is so damn sick. Absolutely love this thing. Absolutely love this thing. This is by far their best version of this knife right here. By far. Nothing else that they've done with this model comes close to this one. How the hell did we get one of these little bugs in the damn bedroom? Oh, I carried the Padre the other day. Had this sucker out in all its glory. And what was the other one that I carried today? I carried another knife this week, and I forget which one it was. Oh, yeah. This guy. The Concept Tuckamore. Another wicked Warney. Such a damn good knife. And that's a micarta inlay on black titanium, black washed titanium. And I kind of did it in a very, very dark reddish brown dye job. Just made it nice and dark. And it looks good. It looks good like that. This guy's solid too. What's the seal on him? 20 CV. CPM 20 CV. 20 CV. Anybody else notice and kind of find it funny that G-Ball and Tri-State both in the same week, almost like not even 48 hours apart from one another, posted up their videos on the Kaiser Veritas that came out last year. But yeah, Tri-State and G-Ball both finally got around to posting up a video on the Veritas. G-Ball got the black one, the black finished one with the Timascus pivot head, the square pivot head on that is on his is Timascus. This one right here is the one that I won at Blade Show last year at the Kaiser 10-year anniversary dinner at the celebration that they had. So yeah, I somehow lucked out because I'm not very lucky. I lucked out and had a winning ticket, and my eyes gravitated towards this one fast enough to where I could beat everybody else's fingers that tried to get a hold of it all at the same time. I really did. I was giving mean mugging looks to the other two that tried to get their fingers on it. I was like, no, it's mine. Yeah. It's like I hardly ever win anything. So when I do, I want it to be a good prize, right? Wouldn't everybody? So and then after when I walked back to the fellas that I was sitting with and hanging out with, Sharif and Stevie and Snuz and who else was Dopey of course. Scott N was there. I mean, there were so many people at that dinner, so many cool people, fun people at that dinner. That was an amazing memory that I will forever have. And I started tearing up. My emotions. I was just so overwhelmed with how incredibly sweet that moment was for me. And my heart goes out to Dopey for getting me the invite, because that was an invitational dinner, not for everybody. So he was able with was it Kaiser Crazy K, who was with Kaiser. He apparently had connections with her, knew her well enough, and was able to get me and Beard of Doom um, invitations to that dinner. So yeah, and Beard of Doom was there too. um, yeah, I can't wait till Blade Show to meet up and hang out with all these awesome people again. Uh, just it's so much fun, such a joy. Um, can't wait. The time clock is running down. And speaking of that, I know some of y'all, a few of you, might be familiar with this guy and what I did last year. Last year I did, I don't remember how many days. It was more than a month. I think I did like 35 or 37 days, somewhere around there. I did for each day. I did uh, a, a knife brand, and it might have been some days I had just maybe one knife, some days I had two or three, but out of my entire collection that I had at that point. And so I went through basically 90% of my knife collection last year as a countdown to Blade Show. This year, I'm not going to do that again. I think it was a little redundant in the fact that it was like, okay, every day he's showing knives for how many freaking days in a row. So this year, I'm going to do just the 12 days, 12 days till Blade Show. I think that that's a good number, and I'm going to show each day featured knives that are pretty much just knives that I've acquired since last year's Blade Show. So you won't see stuff, that's old new stuff. You're gonna see the newer stuff when I do that, and it's just 12. It'll be just 12 days showing off a knife for I think a couple days. I've got two or three because they're from the same company, same brand, and it featured with this guy that I made last year, real quick out of wood, just a little display sign shaped in a knife. It says Days Till Blade Show. So yeah, kind of that's the idea exactly. Papa Rhino is just 12 days of Christmas, but instead 12 days till Blade Show. So that'll happen. That countdown will happen in a couple weeks. Before you know it, because we're like what 27, 28 days at this point. What is it? So yeah, the counter on the Blade Show website. Let me share Z. Present day. So they're counting 27 days, 13 hours, 23 minutes, 40 some seconds, right? The way I count that, so you look at it, it's June 7th through 9th. So Friday is the first day, 7th at like the doors open at like 10 or 11, depending on whether or not you got the early access that gets you in an hour early. So the way I like to do my countdown and why mine will be a number off from theirs is I look at it as how many mornings until the doors open for Blade Show. How many wake ups? How many times you get up for the day before Blade Show? So if today is the 10th, then we don't count today. We count the morning of tomorrow. So the 11th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 more mornings. Friday the 7th is 28. So I'm counting those, what they're saying, 13 hours now. I'm saying is 28 more breakfasts, 28 more sunrises before Blade Show doors open. That's how I do my countdown. That's how I did it last year. That's how I'll do it this year and forever in the future. Whether I go to Blade Show or not. There will be in a couple years. I'll have to skip a year or two. One of these years I will end up skipping. But yeah, so 28 more sunrises till Blade Show doors open. That's how I'm counting it. to going to Move Show, not cool enough for Blade Show. Why not, Papa? Why not? An Imtech booth. Okay, so I didn't do this on my video that I recorded on tips and tricks and what to expect and what to do and what not to do, what to bring, what not to bring, that kind of thing. I did do that video, and there's some good advice in there based off of what I learned and saw last year and what other people talked about leading up to last year's Blade Show, as well as during and after. But if you go to the website, you can do travel location that tells you where it's at and all that kind of fun stuff. You got driving directions, parking options. It shows you their parking lots. It's even got a link to booking the hotels that are like right there and across the street from where the show's at. Here's your will call info. That gives you all your different types of tickets, all the other tickets you can get for different shows that are, demonstrations that they do and that kind of stuff. Then you got show info. The Blade University is where your tickets and your classes are reserved from. But then here's your show hours and the map. So here's your show hours: Friday 10 a.m. for early birds, 11 for the rest of us. Last year I did do the early bird. The only reason why, the two reasons why, was one, I was not sure what I was expecting, and I just wanted to kind of be able to have more of an ease into it rather than boom with the entire crowd rushing the gates type deal. I was felt like I could avoid that to some extent, and it did, but it really wasn't as bad as I was, overhyping myself out to think it was going to be. The other reason why was there was two knives that I had seen from people's videos from SHOT Show at the end of January, from a couple of the companies, bigger companies, and they were like two knives that I was like, they're not going to have very many and they're going to go insanely fast. So I knew, like, if I didn't get my fingers on them at Blade Show, it was going to be more than 6-7 months before those knives are going to be out in retail world. So I wanted them. I wanted them bad enough that I was willing to pay. And as long as you bought your tickets at the lowest prices when they first offer you to buy tickets, when tickets first go up for sale, it was only $20 more for the early bird. And so if you're in that situation where exactly, a knife or two that you've just got to have, and that there'll be small quantities and they'll go insanely fast, then to me, I guess it was worth it. It was definitely worth it, and I would recommend doing the early bird. This year, there's not really anything. There's not a specific knife that my heart's set on getting. So I don't have that need. And now that I know what to expect and how the lines are going to be and how the crowd is going to be. I'm not too worried about that anymore. I felt like I handled it pretty well last year, and I think I'll be able to handle it pretty well again this year as far as my crowd and line anxiety goes. But then here's the map, and you can open up the map. You got your main showroom floor, the big room, and then you got the smaller John A. Williams ballroom over here. And then out in the hallways and everything, that's where there's little benches and seating spots, and there'll be a couple of small food vendor things, and they've got display of the year and knife collection displays. There's your first aid station. Remember in my video, I said bring a couple of Band-Aids and some ibuprofen or Tylenol or whatever for headaches or aches and pains. Bring your own. Have just a small quantity of that with you as you walking around, so that way when you need it, because you're going to need it, you already have it on you at hand. So yeah, so that's the map. And what's cool is you have the exhibitor list. So this is where you go to the exhibitor list, and it lists all 949 exhibitors. Like I said in my video, over 900 booths. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's alphabetical. So who was it? Who asking for which one? MTech? No, no, there's not gonna. That's funny. I get that was a joke. MTech. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, B&A. Always trying to outmo you, huh? That's funny. I get mad when my neighbors in my neighborhood, because we're in like this big loop, and there's just a large retaining pond in the middle. But I hate it when there's like 2 or 3 of them that want to get started on a Saturday or Sunday morning at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I don't want to wake up to that on my weekends. Is it mowing their yards at that time of the morning on the weekends?
Hey, we're still going out to listen to it tonight?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, well, I mean, you have the website, but the problem with the Cobb Galleria Center there, where Blade Show's at for Atlanta, there's like no reception. Like even your apps are gonna, hiccup and lag and have problems. So, and that's why I said, in my video, print out a map. Have a map print out like so, and you see how I've gone and kind of just made marks, outlined some of the particular booths, places that I don't want to pass up on, and then made a list of the bulk of the ones that I don't want to pass up on, that I want to make sure it's like, hey, did I swing by these booths? Did I say hey to these people? Did I check out what they've got coming out? So I've got them and where they're located. And half of what's on the back of the paper is the ones that are in the middle here, where they're don't have their listed names on the map, and so yeah. And then I've got like my top 5. I've got like 4 or 5 that I've underlined that I'm like, these are the important ones that I want to make sure that I get to within the first hour of being inside the rooms, because they might have a knife that I would be greatly interested in, and they would have a small quantity of for sale. But yeah, so again, it's like have a plan, but let it be a very flexible, loose plan. Yeah, because the important thing is the people. It really is. It really, really is. But oh, there is a new knife that I mean, I wouldn't mind having it, but let me stop sharing that one and present this one. Check out that fixed blade from Tops. Tops just let this one out to retail stores to start selling this week, and it's the Armado 6.5 fixed blade with canvas micarta handle, $10.95. Their gray coat is actually a really good coating as far as rust corrosion resistance. Like I've been very impressed. I've got the same coating that they use on this. I've got on the Tops Bull Trout as well as my Tops Tex Creek XL, which is a beast of a fixed blade too. But yeah, this one 6.5 curved belly. Like I can just see Grumpy, just going to town with this thing because he likes that nice curve out up to the tip. The only thing that I would personally want there it not to have is on the back end right there where that lanyard hole is. Um, I would not want that to be as pronounced as they did it. Um, I would rather them have like rounded it and made it, an exact circle rather than curved down and out the way that it is. Yeah, I don't like the way the lanyard hole is done with the steel. But other than that, it's a one hell of a knife. You do a lot with that thing. And they got that nice wide jimping on the top. The main purpose of the mindset behind the purpose of having jimping spaced out like that large, is that ideally this knife is a knife that you would use often with wearing gloves and doing other heavy duty work and bushcrafting stuff or outdoorsy stuff. And you'd probably have gloves on. So when you have gloves, that's the kind of jimping that's going to make that contact with the glove and keep your thumb or finger, whatever you've got on there, in place. So that's why that jimping is spaced out that much, unlike the little micro jimping that's on folders. Yeah, apparently it comes with one of their Kydex sheaths. Surprisingly, I was expecting leather. Huh? Rock on. But I appreciate that. Still got the dangler with the leather straps, which when you get a big knife like that, the dangler is the way to go. In most of our views, most of us that do camping and outdoors bushcrafting and that kind of stuff with fixed blades, when you get to that size 6.5 inch blade, yeah, you kind of want that on a dangler at that point. It just makes it easier to when you're sitting, having to get up and down to, do other stuff. No glove, no love. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's soft enough. The edges are rounded off enough to where it doesn't hurt to grip it hard without the glove on. But ideally, that's why they're spaced the way that they're spaced, is so that it gives proper grip when you do wear gloves. Oh, really? Yeah. You want that 15B shaman. Nice. Guns. I have enough stuff dangling. I don't need my knife doing it as well. That's good. That's funny. Out of you bunch that are here with me right now, how many of y'all are going to Blade Show? Am I going to be fortunate to see any of y'all there? I know Papa's not going, sadly. B&A, are you going, brother? Nemo, will you be at Blade Show? Dang Ross, I know. Well, unfortunately. It's almost 5:00. Where's Maddie? He watched my wizard video. Had his good laugh there.
I didn't watch it.
Really? TPK has a limit? Oh, I got you. I got you. Really? I'm telling you, I've been watching what I do buy and what I do spend my money on, trying not to buy any new knives. I have not bought a new knife this month or really last month. I think what was the last knife? I don't remember. But yeah, I mean I've been pitching pennies and like I said, trying to get extra hours at work and watching what I spend to try to scrape together $100 here, $100 there, that kind of a deal. But what are the weed co-life? Okay. Oh, I don't know why I'm yawning now. You just need a sugar daddy. That's good. You know, there really hasn't over the last month or so been any that have come out that I've really, really wanted. I don't know. I just if I'm doing that good of a mindset of hey, I don't have money to buy any new knives because I'm trying to save it for Blade Show, or if it's just that there's just not been anything that really interests me enough to say, hey, I've got to have that. Or there's a third factor in the fact that I'm at the point where I am just have gotten so damn picky and set on the kind of knife that I want, that I like, the style, the profile, the materials, all that kind of stuff. And have just gotten extremely stubborn with that. Who knows? Who knows? It's probably a combination of everything. And it's also kind of hard to look at a new knife and not see the similarities or or at least where its inspiration probably came from the designs of knives that I already have. And it's like, well, that's very similar. It's kind of close to. It has the same vibes as this knife that I have, or that knife that I have. I kind of coach myself into saying, I don't need it. I don't need it, because I've got other things that are in some way, shape, or form have some kind of similar vibe to them or look to them. I do like the Arcform Theory, though. That is a good looking knife. What's helping me talk myself away from it is one, the pointy-ish back end here. Two, they're totally flat scales. And three, the thumb hole. There's really not a whole lot of blade stock material right there at the top, like where they put that hole in the size of that hole. Whew, that's close, right? So, but I absolutely love the blade shape, and I overall like the profile and the shape of the handle. Just wish that this was more rounded out at the bottom and not to that point that's right there. And again, just getting picky, having that preference. I don't know what's going on with these SOG Stout. What is this SOG Stout? Like, no. What's the blade length? I mean, for one, it's D2, and most of us aren't up for D2 anymore these days. We have other preferences. It's only a 2.4. But, I mean, the name Stout doesn't exclusively lie with Demko and Kevin, per se. Right? Does it? But then the Devo Nip, are you seeing what I'm seeing with that? Look at the SRG Stout and the Devo Nip. And does that not make you almost want to roll your eyes for SOG doing their version? Like, I know they're different. I know they have their differences. But do they not have very, very super similar vibes going for them? Like, it's and the fact that they're calling it the Stout when Devo, that makes the nip, has a knife called the Stout. I'm just I have AR RPM 9. I have a good number of CGRBs and some artisans. Does artisan, is it only CGRB that puts the RPM 9, or aren't there some artisans that have the RPM 9 steel on their blades? I think maybe they do. I don't know. I'd have to go through. I have between artisan and CGRB, I have quite a few knives, and I do have more than 3 that have that AR RPM 9 steel. I like that steel. It's a really good steel. So no, I don't need one because I already have some. I wouldn't mind getting a new one. But yeah, I enjoy that steel. What did you do, B&A, to deserve some pampering like that? That is some serious oatmeal chocolate chip cookies and coffee. Pretty good. That is pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of oatmeal because my grandmother would always make oatmeal. Is that kind of like a set in stone deal? Like growing up as a kid, your grandma always made cookies with oatmeal, like they almost like they had to, like it's the gold standard. Grandma, when you're a grandma and you're making cookies for your grandkids, you got to make oatmeal cookies. Got to be oatmeal based. Is that the rule? The unspoken rule? Oh, that's nice. DSKFS. And then your lefty buddy made some custom inlays for it. That's that's even better. That's cool. What up, Bobo? How you doing? So if you've joined since the beginning here, let me get presente. This is my new skateboard bottom. This is the bottom of it before the wheels get put on. And I had my buddy from work do the channel logo CNC'd into the bottom of the board. So how sweet is this little nice compact skateboard board gonna be with nice easy carry handles? I just went with the basic deck tape. I didn't go with anything fancy. Again, kind of trying to stay low budget here. Yeah, I also did see that. Wasn't that on YouTube? Was that on YouTube or was that on Instagram? Where or oh, it didn't break. It was just clickbait. Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking. When I saw it, I was like, no. No, he didn't nobody actually broke that blade like that. Blades don't break in chunks like that on their own. So yeah, I kinda suspected that it was uh, fake news. False advertising. Um, pulling our chain, trying to get some clickbait action going. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited for getting this together, finishing it. It's still got more drawing to do before I can do a little bit of light sanding and then do the next coat. It's got two coats on it, and I'm in order to really protect the engraving on it. It's probably going to need a total of six. I'm going to end up doing a total of six coats on polyacrylic, water-based polyacrylic, to really protect that. And so every two coats, I got to let it dry for at least 3 or 4 hours, and then do a little bit of light sanding, and then I can do the next two coats, and then again let it dry for 3 to 5 hours, and then the lengthy process of finishing something like this. Hey, going back to the funds and side jobs, um, you might, you could possibly talk to Shane, see if you can get him to put in a good word for you at your local stripper club. Maybe you can get in there and do a few shows and earn a few bucks. If you're any good with a bowl. I wonder if that's how Shane gets his Blade Show money. I haven't watched an Edgy American live or video in a while. I've kind of, I mean, not purposely neglected him or anything, but it, it's kind of getting to the point where I'm trying to give some new people, some smaller channels, some love, and so that kind of takes away from some of the older channels that I don't quite connect as well with. Yeah, see, like I said, brand new, I don't really have a particular knife. Sorry, I gotta raise my chair up again. I don't have a particular knife that I'm eyeing for Blade Show. What it's more so this year, makers. So on my list here, that's on the back of my map. On my list here, I have underlined artisan / CJRB. Because I mean, they just do so much good stuff. I'm kind of hoping that they'll possibly have their XL Pirate with the Pyrite with the Warney blade, because they talked about that at SHOT Show out in Vegas in the end of January, beginning of February. So they were talking about it, mentioned it. So I'm kind of hoping that they will have that XL Warncliffe Pyrite. If they do, I might have to get it. I just might have to get it if I don't see anything else, and if I have the money, I might have to get it so that I don't have to wait for another 3 to 5 months before it comes out in retail. So that's one of them. Another one is Edgy Blade Works. He does all the handfuls of customs every year for people, and so if he has something, his are expensive. I doubt I'll be surprised. It'll blow my mind if he has something that is under $700 that is just so as stellar as everything else that he's made. That I would love to have, but I mean, I'm anxious to see what he has this year, what he brings to the show this year. Stevie has one of his knives. There's a handful of people in our community that pretty much all of us here know that has one of his knives. But yeah, Edgy Blade Works for sure. He's actually number 2 on my list as far as where I want to go first. Null Knives. I can't tell you how much I would love to have a Voodoo, a Null Knives Voodoo, and I've just not had the funds at the times that they've done their drops to pick one up from them online. So fingers are crossed. That's actually the first place I'm going to, is the Null Knives booth. At least, I mean, this is my rough plan. It's not set in stone, but this is my rough plan. So yeah, the Null Knives, the Voodoo, unless they've got something else that's new, a new proto or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, definitely want to see them first. Then go see Edgy Blade Works, and then number 3 is, as of right now, it's the Artisan CJRB booth. And I absolutely want to go see what Sparrow Knives might possibly have, if they've got anything new. Sparrow Knives is underlined. I would love to see if they've got anything sweet looking. And then my number 4th stop is or 4, 5, or 6 or whatever. Just, I just want to make sure that sometime within the first handful of hours of the show, I get to try to pick up another Ulti clip. I need another Slim 2.2. They had them at the show last year, and they were only like $11 a piece, whereas normally like on Amazon right now they're like $15 or $16. So hopefully they'll be at they should be at the show, and hopefully I'll be able to get me another Slim 2.2 Ulti clip for one of my other small little pocket fixed blades. So yeah, that's kind of just the rough plan and the main ones that I want to make sure that I absolutely hit up first within the first couple of hours of being at the show. Again, I don't have my mind or my heart set on any particular knife as I've got to get there and got to have it. Yeah, I'm this year it's more just enjoying the people. Not that I didn't do that last year, but last year I had probably a slightly more stronger agenda, and mostly because of my anxiety of not knowing what exactly to expect and not getting a whole lot of feedback from people up front, pre-show on what I needed to do or shouldn't. Like there was not enough people sharing enough information for me to be all planny mode, which is how I wanted to be last year. So now that I know how it's going to go, and I don't have any particular knife that I've just got to rush in there and get ASAP. And I don't quite have the funds that last year I spent a little over $900 on a whole bunch of knives. I ended the show with probably 6 knives, 5 or 6 knives, and they weren't cheapies either. So yeah, the whole experience was over $1,000. And that was still doing it kind of budget minded of only paying for dinners and snacks and sleeping in a tent at a campground and paying campground fees, not hotel fees or Airbnb fees. So I did it on a budget in a way to where I could maximize my spending on the knives. This year I'm spending a little bit more. It's still a sweet hotel setup that I've got that is going to be very inexpensive for me, but it's still about $60-$70 more than what I spent last year camping. So where I'm sleeping is costing me more this year than it did last year, and I'm gonna have to pay for another dinner this year that I didn't last year, because last year we had the Kaiser dinner. So there's another $25 pretty much, and I just don't have as much money saved up because we haven't received our tax return yet, because the whole hold up with child support bullshit and everything. The wife did find out when that hearing's going to be. It's the middle of June. It's not until the middle of June to where she gets to sit down with everybody in front of a judge and show everyone all her paperwork that shows that she's current with child support, that her ex-husband's just this royal prick, just major pain in the ass, who lied when he filed a claim with child services and told them that she hasn't been paying him anything. So yeah, he created this whole. My wife's ex-husband is the reason why I don't have $1,000 out of my tax return to freely go spend on Blade Show, like I did last year. So yeah, it's that asshole's fault. He wins. He got what he wanted. He made it. He created a major inconvenience for both my wife and I, and that's what a narcissist likes to do. They like to have that kind of control over things and situations. So that's what's going on with that story. But it's almost 5:20 Eastern time. A good time. The rest of y'all are just an hour or two or three off. And Maddie did not join us today. Shame. He must be busy with something. Maddie. I'm going to have to message him. And bust his chops. Say, hey, where the hell were you? Oh, you did? Did you Bushcraft, did you have to do it for all 3 days? Or did you only have to do it for half days? Like Beard of Doom is doing I forget which booth it is. It's one of the weird named ones. That doesn't narrow it down much. I think it starts with a K. Hold on, I can tell you. I'm looking at the exhibitor list right now, trying to get to the Ks. Remember, there's over 900 of these freaking booths listed here. It's nuts. All right, he's not at the Kunwu booth. He's at Ketu or Ketu Ketuo. I don't know how to say that. I've heard Doom mention it, and how do you say Ketuo? How do you pronounce that knife company? There, I pasted it in the chats. Is that how you say it, Neil? K2O? Kato? Ketu? Something like that? Am I close? Or not at all? Yeah. So I believe I'm almost 90+% sure that that's what booth Doom is working with this year, working at. So he's going to be working, but I think he said he has to be at the booth for most of Friday and like half of Saturday, and I think then they don't require him to be there on Sunday, but maybe for a tiny little bit. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were gonna ride your bicycle there, 1,500 miles. You got to be kidding. If I had my tax return, there's actually one or two people that I would have been joyfully grateful to help out with at least buying their tickets for them. And plus maybe $100 for transportation. You know, if I had my tax return, if I had the money, I would have loved to have gotten G-Ball there, and I know Ed Harrison's coming. I don't know if he's staying for just the bulk of Saturday or what exactly his plans are. But I mean, if he needed help, if you know, it would make it all that much more possible for him to have an extra $100, $150. I would have joyfully helped him out because he gives so much. I mean, y'all see how he drops gifts in the channels. He gives people $50 there, $50 there, and at times he's thrown $100 at a couple of them. I mean, he's so generous, and he's such a blessing, and I would love to give back to that man, if I, you know, I just if we all could win $1 million, right? If we could all win the freaking lottery just once, and win even $500,000. Most of us that live almost paycheck to paycheck, sort of in the middle class, that don't spend money foolishly, foolishly. You know what $500,000 could do for most of us? If we could just have $500,000 just one time in our lifetime. Did you not look into Greyhound bus and or trains? Honestly, I would think, because hell, when I was in, granted this was 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, maybe about 17 years ago. Anyways, timeline. I'm getting older. But when I was after boot camp, when I went to my school to learn my actual job for the Navy as a CB, doing construction work, as basically what you would know as a civil engineer. For going back home to Atlanta for Christmas while I was in my school for almost 7 months, learning about 2 years worth of college in 7 months, being crammed down our throats at almost triple the pace, pretty much. They let us go home for Christmas for like 9 days, I think it was, and so I went home. I took a Greyhound from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, back to Atlanta, and I actually had to go, I think, to Charleston or Raleigh, North Carolina, somewhere in the Carolinas. First is where the route went, so the route went up there first, and then came back down to Atlanta. But yeah, it was because plane flights out of Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, which is which is real close to about an hour and 25 minutes or so from St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, flights out of that area at Christmas time that year was awful. And so it was like going to cost me almost 1/5 the amount of money to ride a Greyhound bus through the night, overnight, for like 13, 14 hours, and just sleep on a bus overnight. It was like 1/5 the expense. So yeah, that's also the other way. I know quite a number of people are kind of carpooling slash picking each other up en route, and that's another awesome way to do it. Hey, there's Todd. What's up, Todd? How's Canada doing for you? From what I hear is your government's about as screwed up as our government. In the way it's just destroying its people's lives, the everyday people's lives. But we won't get into politics or nothing like that. Just heard a few things, saw a few things. That kind of sucks. I always grown, pretty much from my high school days onward, I've always sworn, up until just a handful of years ago, I was always swearing that when you go and do your payment at the kiosk thing in retail stores, and it would say press 1 for English and press 2 for Spanish. I would always say, like, if they ever flip flop that, if English becomes second to Spanish, if Spanish is the main speaking language in this country, I am screwed. I am fucked, royally ruined. Because I don't do foreign languages. I struggled to pass Spanish. Like I couldn't even talk to a toddler right now in Spanish, and they would just like laugh at me. Like my 7-month-old brother knows more Spanish than you do. Like I do not do a foreign languages. I struggle in trying to learn other languages, and uh, and absolutely cannot stand Spanish. So like the idea was that if they ever make that the primary for the United States, I'd have to leave. I would have to go. I'd be out of here. And the first place I would be going to is Canada. One, because they're just straight up, they're not far away. Um, and two, 10 plus years ago, Canada was awesome. It was awesome to live in Canada. Their economy was solid. The people were great. For the most part, they still are great. Yeah, it's a good place to live. I mean, Todd still lives there, right? It's not too bad. Yeah, that's a fair point. That's 100% true. Yeah, no, surprise. I tell you, Neil. When I was the times that I've traveled with my parents, with my family, up into Canada, um, and I've been to the French sectors of Canada where there is a lot of French speaking, but what you get in those areas and what you get even in France is they speak way more English than it would blow your mind if you've never been to the places. Many of your European countries that end up with more tourists and more American business dealings with their country, more of the people there are going to know fairly good English. And I mean, they hear you speak English, they know you're American, they're going to, if they know any bit of English, they're like anxious to try it out on you. There's just a lot more people who speak English. So same thing whenever we went to Canada, to those areas. Like even though they spoke French, their English was really good, like really good. Um, exactly. That's where I was getting at. Tactical Terry was that again, heavy tourist places in those countries, European countries, and others around the world that receive a lot of American tourists, as well as a lot of English-speaking American and American business. They know their English. They know their English very well. For pretty much. So. Absolutely zero. Really, brand new. You're just like totally. I don't even want to know. I don't care, and I don't want to know. Yeah, forever. And that's actually one thing that kind of went back to our founding fathers. In the both the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and just overall general mindset of doing business with other countries. The fact that we are founded as being a melting pot of so many different nationalities, immigrant wise, it was never intended for the U.S. to ever have a set dedicated national language. Never list one anywhere, never and not have one. because that's part of the backbone of what the founding fathers and our first immigrants to America after, before, during, and after the Revolutionary War. Pride. There's supposed to be a lot of pride and patriotism in the fact that we are a conglomerate of nationalities and that we are not, as one people, we are not any one nation or national background. We are of many. And so we should not have a national language. But for whatever reason, English was so dominant in at least the communications and business world that for the U.S. that it's always pretty much been the predominant speaking language for the sake of socializing and doing trade and business. So we speak an American, a very American version of English that is very different, quite different from British English. But I mean, at least we're not bad at Spanish. That's the thing is, with speaking Spanish, the Spanish in the textbooks and what was being taught to us by our Spanish teacher in grade school was like 90% Spain Spanish. Living in Georgia, where you're so close to freaking Mexico and all the other Spanish speaking countries in the South American and Middle American areas, you go south of Orlando, and you know how much Spanish is spoken down there in South Florida. I mean, just between the Cubans and just so much, and Mexicans and all that, so much Hondurans, so much Spanish speaking going down there, and they all have different dialects. So it's scary that if you say a very simple basic sentence in Spain Spanish, the Cuban Spanish, the Honduran Spanish, or the Brazilian Spanish, you might be insulting somebody in some of the worst ways with whatever basic sentence you just said, because their dialects are so vastly different. It's almost not even worth trying. Is how I concluded out of that. Was this why am I learning Spain Spanish if I'm never going to go visit and spend weeks and months in Spain? If I'm not going to spend months and months in Spain, why do I need Spain Spanish? If anything, some Cuban Spanish or some Mexican Spanish would be way more beneficial. Yeah, that's right. Brazil is Portuguese. My bad. I've been to Brazil. So, yeah. Didn't talk to nobody other than the people that I went with. Yeah, that's right. Quebec is predominantly French. Yeah. That's see, I know. Todd knows I know that, yeah, everyone speaks English and speaks very well. Really, Joseph? Yeah, no, I just understanding it was probably more difficult. Understanding it well enough to be able to listen to somebody who has Spanish as their primary language. I don't have the abilities. I don't have the skill in the mind to yeah. I couldn't. You got me on that one. You are far better with that than me. Far better. I have heard that there's quite a bit of similarities. Just I think it's the way they pronounce certain words that are where it's different, but the spelling is almost identical of some of their words between Italians and Spanish. But yeah, I can definitely see that yeah, Spain's and Italians can communicate pretty well together. Pig Latin, because I didn't know there was a Pog Latin. They used to have Pogs. I had the plastic tubes that were so big, filled with Pogs, and I had like two or three of those tubes. I had probably maybe about 300, 400 Pogs, and I had the Slammers. I had like 5 or 6 of the Slammers. I remember doing that. I got into it from when I was pretty young. I had a buddy in the neighborhood that was like 2 or 3 old. I think he might have been. He was either 2 years ahead of me or 3 years, 3 grade levels ahead of me. He might have been 3 grade levels ahead of me. I'm not sure. But yeah, he was this guy that lived in my neighborhood, and his mom used to babysit me and my younger brother. So that's how I got to know him and hung out with him whenever we had to go crash at their place after school for like 2 or 3 hours until my mom got home from work. But he, being a handful of years older than me, he grew up closer to the mid 80s, early 90s. He was all that much in that time frame where Pogs were kind of on the tail end of being popular, and so he kind of caught on to that train a little on the late side, and then I caught on to it because of him on the extremely late side. But they were fun, they were cool. It was a nice little game thing. I could never get into Pokemon or what's that? What's the wizard card game? The magical card game? Oh, why am I having a damn brain fart on that? Why can't I remember that? Somebody help me out. What is that magical card game? That was kind of popular there almost at the same time as your Pokemon. I forget what that card game, collector game was. I can't remember. Why can't I remember? But I couldn't get into either one of those. My Veritas was making a funny noise. Sorry, I kind of just stopped there and went silent when I was flicking it. I don't know what's going on. Flick it open. I don't know, like the closing detent's making an extra noise. What?
Laughing because Riley is so upset.
Why is Riley upset?
Because I won't let him have a popsicle before dinner.
Oh. How soon is dinner gonna be ready?
The next 10 minutes.
Oh, we eating early then. a little bit early tonight.
Well, I'm cooking the green beans and stuff right now. So
Okay.
probably next 10 minutes.
All right. Well, let me call it. Let me call it a night, fellas.
I need you
Anybody's
to
still
cache
here?
this too. I need you to cache this and then send it to me.
Okay. Hold on. Yep. Yep. We're gonna call it. Neil. Later. Y'all have a good one. Have a good weekend. I'll be busy. And hey, go watch the skateboard video is probably gonna be up Sunday or Monday. And go check out my wizard wand video, or not wand staff, my wizard staff video. And if you're interested in to know what Blade Show is like, other than what I've already said and what you probably already heard, I did my video on that's out there too, if you care to. But yeah, y'all have a great weekend. Might see you in some other lives. And it looks